Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. In today's video, we're going to be continuing Kill la Kill, The Web of Life. What if Spider-Gwen wasn't Kill la Kill? Part 6. As always, if you are new to the channel or if you're a regular and like what we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that's to come out now and in the future. As we continue on in the story of Kill la Kill, we find that Gwen, Ryuko, Hobie, and members of the transfers, along with some unlikeliest of helps, continue their battle against Satsuki and the Elite Five. However, after 2 victories and riding high, things don't go quite as expected, as an unforeseen challenger makes their appearance onto the battlefield, holding key secrets to the past of both Ryuko and to Gwen. Can our heroes keep their cool as they engage with stronger and more powerful foes? And what are Matt Murdock's true intentions in this world? For all this and more, stay tuned as we now continue Kill la Kill, The Web of Life, What if Spider-Gwen was in Kill la Kill, Part 6. As always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. The third match would begin as Gwen would engage in combat against Olivia Octavius, as she activated her 3-star Goku uniform, that being Optical Regalia. Of course, true to her name, as she was often coined, Dr. Octopus, she used 4 mechanical arms in combat, allowing for her to fight in long range and keep her distance, with the extra appendages giving her the moniker of the Octopus. Of course, Gwen with her reflexes was able to hold her own well enough, and the two seemed to be evenly matched, Liv taking the time to study Gwen in all of her movements. As the two would continue their battle, with the students watching on from the stands, along with Satsuki and the other members of the Elite Five, as well as viewers and spectators who were watching from their homes, a young girl dressed in pink with a scar over her left eye covered by a purple-like eye patch that was shaped like a flower, would strum along happily. As she saw the battles taking place, and it intrigued her. In the meantime, both Mako and Ryuko would cheer on Gwen as she continued on in her battle against Liv. It was obvious that Gwen was starting to get the upper hands in the match, and victory would be assured in her favor. They were one step closer to getting to their goal, to their dream, when suddenly the arena would shake, as a new fighter would appear. The girl dressed in pink, smiling happily. Satsuki, however, would be disturbed. Of all people, and of all times, the Grand Couture of Revox Corporation, the corporation owned by Satsuki's mother, Raigo Kiryuin, Nue Harume. The young girl smiled happily, waving up to Satsuki as she hadn't seen her in a while. Satsuki would ask Nue what she was doing here, her purpose for being here in the first place, as she didn't give her permission. But Nue would comment that she merely wanted to have someone to play with, and these ones seemed like a lot of fun. She pointed towards Gwen and towards Ryuko. Those two, they'll do just fine. You want to pick a fight with the both of us? Ryuko would say. Not a wise move, Gwen would also add in. If you think you can beat the two of us together, then you're surely mistaken. Oh, I don't just think I can beat you. I know I can beat you. Satsuki would tell for Olivia to retreat and to back away. Of course, Liv was unsure as to why, but heeding her master's orders, she did just so. Of course, Nanan along with Hoka were also perturbed to see Lady Satsuki so, disturbed at the sight of this new fighter. So much so that she would call back one of her own elites. Of course, though, for Sanagayama and for Gamagori, they were also worried as well. If someone was that worrisome for Lady Satsuki, then she had to be troublesome. Yeah, you two will do just fine. Besides, I'm the one you've been looking for. What? Ryuko would now be beside Gwen, as she had transformed as well. That's right. Nue would pull out a pair, or another half, of a scissor blade, colored purple, as opposed to Ryuko and her scarlet red scissor blade. The other half, right? I got it. You were looking for the one that killed your daddies. Well, that was me. An eerie silence would fall over the arena. Both Gwen and Ryuko, letting those words truly settle into their subconscious. You killed our father, Gwen would say. You're the bastard. Why? Why did you do it? Now, if I just went spilling the secrets everything, that wouldn't be any fun. If you think you're strong enough, why don't you make me? Both Gwen and Ryuko would charge at Nue with blind fury and rage. Senketsu could feel Ryuko's blood boiling, and he could feel the aura of hatred shrouding around the two girls. Mako would be extremely worried as she watched on. Hobie was still recovering from his fight against Ira, and Matt, he wasn't really in any position to keep fighting. Well, at the very least, his Kamui uniform wouldn't be available to him at the moment. He didn't expect things to turn out like this. Elektra would appear by his side. Master, it's her. Yeah, I know. But what the hell could Revok be up to? I didn't think they'd send her here. Tell everyone in the Tokyo base to stand on guard just in case anything happens. Understood. What are you going to do? For now, I'm just going to observe and wait and see what happens. If you try to get into a fight, you know your Kamui won't last for too long. Who says I plan on fighting? At least, I don't plan on fighting yet. Just stay on standby, Elektra. Elektra would nod and disappear just as quickly. The evacuation would begin as the students would leave, fearing for their lives. Mako and Hobie were watching on, the two of them worried for Gwen and for Ryuko's safety. The two girls were fighting in a blind fury, not thinking straight. And a few times Nue had managed to get behind them, sending a couple of quick slashes to their backs. Senketsu was able to hold himself together, and Gwen was able to repair her suit and able to cover up her wounds with her life fiber webbing. That's impressive. Your Kamui is truly immaculate, Ryuko. And you can produce the life fibers. Well, they're not entirely potent. I'd say they're around 80% of what pure life fibers are. But still, that's rather unique. Truly, truly splendid, fascinating, the both of you. Quit playing around, bitch, Ryuko would yell towards her. Why? Why did you kill our dads? Let's see. For you, my toy, your father was working with some business he shouldn't have been dealing with. These scissors that he made, they were made to destroy Kamuis. We couldn't just let that go unpunished now, could we? He put up a good fight. He even took one of my eyes. But still, in the end, he had what was coming to him. But if I had known you two were coming along, I definitely would have waited. What about my dad? Gwen would say. Nue would look to her with a sweet, innocent smile. What about your dad? Why? Why did I kill him? Well, it's not because you're special or anything like that. Don't be so full of yourself, Gwynny Pooh. What? Your dad? He was just some random cop. You act like I really care about what he was doing. No. Just like you, your father is irrelevant in all of this. He was just caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time. But then again, if there's anyone's fault, it should be yours. I read about your file. I know all about you, Gwen. I know about how your mom got driven into madness and how she had to be locked away. It was a real shame when you found her just strung up against the ceiling. Gwen's body would start to shake at this. And then if that wasn't bad enough, you had to be friends with that weirdo kid, Parker. But I guess not everyone's mentally tough. He couldn't handle being bullied, so he thought he'd get revenge by turning himself into one of his freaky science experiments. And then, to add on to it, your poor dad had to shoot the dumb bastard in the back. And this is the funny part, because you were so depressed and so sad, your father up and moves you here to another whole country, thinking that he could give you a better life. And now he ended up dying in the line of duty, doing something so entirely stupid. Tell me, how do you feel? Do you feel like an idiot? Do ya? You caused your daddy's death. Don't you know that? None of this would have happened if you had just stayed back home and not been such a depressed little bitch. How does it feel knowing that your daddy's death is on your hands? Tell me, does it eat you alive? Does it? Uh-oh. Nue found herself being encased in webbing as Gwen would swing her around, thrashing her back and forth onto the ground over and over again. Ryuko was just as angry, but Gwen would charge towards Nue as she punched her in the face over and over again. Shut up! 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 Is that it? Oh yeah, you're really angry now. Come on, show it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. Gwen would continue to punch over and over and over again. That's right. You know, they say love and hate are two sides of the same coin. So go on. Show me. Show me how much you love me. Ryuko would jump in as well as the two girls would continue their assault on Nue. We'll show you how much we love it. We're gonna show you how much we love you by killing you and tearing you apart. The two girls would now go into a blind fury, neither one of them now paying any mind or caution. This wasn't looking good, as both Aikuro and Sumugu would watch from a distance. Sumugu had a specially made bullet used for this occasion, in Ryuko, for that matter, in case her and her Kamui went out of order and got into whack, which safe to say was starting to. It started to transform her, Ryuko turning into some sort of monster, an amalgamation of human and clothing, And Gwen, she was so blinded by anger that it was almost as if she were being swallowed up by the life fibers that wrapped around her body. The bullet could incapacitate Ryuko and their Kamui well enough, but taking down Gwen, that could be a whole other matter. The situation had gotten out of hand to the point where Satsuki had to get involved herself. Mako would jump into the mecha spider, her spider armor that she had made, before dousing a quick dose of NyQuil to fall asleep, now allowing for sleepy Mako, or the smart side of her consciousness, to take hold. It's okay, Ryuko. We're coming to save you! Mech Spider would go running into the fray of the battle, jumping in between the two girls and between Nue. Ooh, this is neat. A suit, huh? I wonder, how long can you stand against me? That's enough, Nue. Ooh, Lady Satsuki. Or should I say, the Silk Queen. This is happening on my campus. If Ryuko and Gwen are going out of control, then I will be the one to deal with them. They are my responsibility. Satsuki would draw her sword as she would clash with Ryuko, while Mako would try to hold down Gwen and stop her from losing it. Gwen, you have to regain yourself. I can't. I have to kill her. I have to kill the bitch. Hobie, still injured, battered, and bruised, would grab Gwen and hold her down. Mako, you go take care of Ryuko. I'll watch after Gwen. Hobie was not in the best of states. At least 3 of his ribs were broken, and it didn't help that Gwen, even as he held her, was punching those broken ribs with everything she had. If it wasn't for the enhanced strength and durability, he probably would have died a long time ago. Damn it! Damn it! Oh God! You are not holding back! Hobie, let me go! Let me go! I have to kill her! I have to! Look, I understand. No, she can't. Don't let her get to you, Gwen. Calm down. It's what she wants. She wants you to lose control. If you can't fight thinking straight, you're not gonna win. I don't care. I don't care if I win. From the very beginning. I don't care if I live. I don't care if I die. If I have to go to hell, I'm taking her with me. So let me go. Let me go. Let me go. I can't do that. Ugh. Right now, someone I care about is hurting. Gwen, it may not mean much, but you're like family to me. I'm not gonna let you throw your life away. All for some revenge. If you want it, we'll get it together. If we die, we'll die together. But I am not going to let you go out like this. Now, get it together! Hobie would give a sickening headbutt to Gwen. It stopped her in that moment, scattering and rattling her brain to the core. Enough, though, to make her snap to her senses. Hobie, It's okay. It's gonna be okay. Mako, get Ryuko under control! Mako, in the meantime, in the mech spire, would stand between both Ryuko and Satsuki. Mako Mankangsho, are you sure you want to do this? I am. I can stop her. I just need you to hit me on the head. What? Just do it. Using the blunt end of her blade, she would smack Mako on the head, forcing herself to wake up and back to her normal state of consciousness. Ow! Why did you? You told me to do it. Oh, right. Mech Spider! Good job, buddy! And now, Mako would jump out of the Mech Spider, holding on to the monstrous Ryuko, slapping her back and forth over and over again, fighting through the tears and sobs as she tried to get her friend to wake back up and to come back to her senses. Thankfully, though, Ryuko would manage to gain control over herself. Samugu would be grateful. He had tried to jump into the fray to try to buy time for Ikuro to use the specially made bullet, but in the end it was futile. To make matters worse, he didn't seem to do much damage in the grand scheme of things. These freaks were getting stronger. He was going to have to train even harder now than ever before. Nue was disappointed. Satsuki, having had enough of her antics, would tell her that she was no longer welcomed at Hojin Academy, and she was no longer to step foot on the campus. As of now, both Ryuko and Gwen would be her priority, and if they lost control, it would be up to her to strike them down. Nue thought that this was no fun, but still, she had gotten what she wanted, and so she was going to take her leave. And in the meantime, Satsuki would use all of the data gained from the battles in order to enact her true plan, the Tri-City Conquest. Now moving into the other territories of Japan, that being Kyoto, Kobe, and Osaka. With the information gathered from the various individuals that fought during the team battle, they were going to use that data to make the Goku uniforms even stronger, as an army and militia was put into place. The coalitions would move in to take over the different territories of Kobe, Osaka, and Kyoto. As Satsuki would oversee the operations, Gwen and Ryuko would be recovering, the two of them feeling more lost and dejected than ever. A student from the school newspaper, more formally, who had thought of himself as a resistance leader, was trying to get the two of them to stand and fight, although it was easier said than done, as he found himself being chased by the disciplinary committee more often than not. Mako tried to step in and help, although she ended up getting punished, having to help with the preparations for the conquest, although unfortunately she wasn't allowed to go with the raid teams, although she didn't really want to. She did want to see the other cities though. She had always wanted to go to Kyoto. Although, now that you think about it, isn't that something that almost every high schooler does in Japan? Like, hold on, I'm breaking the fourth wall here, but why do they always go to Kyoto? That's like the darndest thing. It's like, no matter what the show or what the series, if they're in Japan, the school is always in some form of Tokyo, or in this case, on an island in Tokyo Bay, and everyone's field trip is always to Kyoto. But going back to Mako here, while going to Kyoto was fun, there are also a whole lot of other places in Japan you can go to. I mean, there is Kobe, there's Osaka, there's Hiroshima, there's Sendai, there's Akihabara, especially on Sundays. They have good prices. But seriously, why is it always Kyoto? Kyoto, Kyoto, Kyoto. Oh my god, why is it always Kyoto? But still, Mako was upset that she couldn't go. Or at least that's what she thought, because when the conquest raiding started to begin and all the troops started loading up in their trucks, she accidentally got caught up in the crossfire. Although, thankfully, it wasn't all lost. She wore a special tracker on her suit, on her school uniform to be more specific, and as such, her mech spider could track her down, and the mech spider was going to have to, as, unfortunately, Mako Mankansho found herself being shipped out into the front lines as the Tri-City Raid quest was now set to begin. But what about Gwen? And what about Ryuko? Well, that pesky news kid, he needed help, and the two of them, they needed to bust some heads. But unfortunately, the heads that they ended up busting were nothing more but puppets. And that kid they thought they had saved, well, it was actually Nue. But where was Hobie in all of this? Well, Hobie had gone down to the lounge known as Hell's Kitchen, where Matt was still recovering some. Hobie, what can I do for you? I want to know the truth. What's going on? Why did you want the two wishes in particular? Well, it's easy to see that we've all been duped. I didn't put much faith in it, but I thought if I got my hands on those two wishes, I'd actually be in a more favorable level of power. Level of power? Well, as I'm sure you're aware, the High Queen herself, Satsuki Kiryoin, isn't just interested in conquering her own school. No, there are schools in other cities and territories she wants to get her hands on as well. Kobe, Osaka, and Kyoto. Yeah. And what do you do in all of this? There's a reason why the school's on an island in Tokyo Bay and not in Tokyo, my friend. As you know, I work with an organization. We refer to ourselves as the Hand. We control Tokyo, and Lady Satsuki knows better than to try to go into Tokyo. Oh, really? You're that sure of yourself? It's not so much about being assured of myself, it's about just being smart. You see, while Reebok, the corporation that funds Hojin Academy, have a lot of influence and a lot of power all over the world, so does the Hand. Of course, in the grand scheme of things, we can't go on the offensive. We don't even have the funds and the capabilities of doing that. However, if it's just about holding serve and protecting what we have, Tokyo may be the last line of defense. So what's the reason for this whole Tri-City raid that she's trying to do? Her conquest? Well, it's simple. Osaka, Kobe, and Kyoto, they all surround Tokyo. If I had to take a guess, she's trying to gain these territories that have been independent, mainly because if she did so, she would have Tokyo cornered on all sides. I see. So she's going to gain the surrounding territories around Tokyo, then build up her forces, and then, yep, in all likelihood, she's saving Tokyo for last. How long do you think you guys can hold out? Well, if it was just us against Hojin Academy, I think safe to say we could win that conflict. But if she gains all three of these territories here, and we have to fight them all off, I'd say at the very least, we might last a year's top. Eventually, though, our defenses would be penetrated and we'll be defeated. That's why I was trying to use my wish. Even Lady Satsuki has to honor her agreements. She's a lot of things, but she is not a treacherous woman. She is a woman of dignity, class, and respect. So, if I used my two wishes, I could use the first wish to gain the territories around Tokyo. And once I had done that, I was going to use the second wish to enter into a treaty to make sure that Reebok wouldn't try to get in. You're really trying to build yourself up, not to lose, huh? Not really. I'm just trying to stave off something even worse. You and your friends don't realize it, but you've entered into a dangerous game, my friend. Satsuki, her mother, Revok, it's not something to be taken lightly. They're going to come after you with everything they have. And it doesn't matter what your defenses are. If you don't have safeguards in place, eventually you will fall. By the time Hobie returned home, he could feel that something was amiss. And his theory would be correct, as what he found laid out, broken and defeated, were both Gwen and Ryuko. And what was worse, Senketsu, save for one scrap of cloth that was in the shape of a spider that was held in the hand of Ryuko, was gone. But what had happened to the rest of Senketsu? Well, as a Kamui, and a powerful one at that, just having a scrap of him could bolster the power of any Goku uniform. And thankfully, or rather unthankfully, due to Nue and her nifty work with her scissor blade, she had reduced Senketsu to nothing but a pile of black cloth squares that Satsuki thankfully took for her own, dispersing them out to amongst those in her ranks, bolstering their strength even further. As now, the quest for ultimate domination had begun. The Tri-City conquest was in full effect, as Satsuki and her forces would now begin their assault. This concludes Kill la Kill: The Web of Life. What if Spider-Gwen was in Kill la Kill Part 6? Stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we continue Spy X Family Project Web, whether Lloyd Forger was Spider-Man Noir, Season 1, Part 6. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with Power Core Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.